And for the second one, if you see limit x tends to a fx into gx, you can separate the product also, right? For the quotient, you can separate the quotient also, okay, provided denominator is not equal to 0, as I have written here, okay. In the second one, if you see, if the limit is outside an exponent, then you can insert the limit inside the exponent also, but n has to be a natural number, right? Next is we'll be using this extensively also, that limit x tends to a fx to the power of gx. When fx is raised not to the power of a natural number, but in fact to the power of a function, then you can not only introduce this limit with this function, but this limit gets attached even to the power, because the power is also a function of x, okay. Next is if limit x tends to fx, x tends to a fx is infinity, if that is it does not exist finitely, or minus infinity, then we say that the reciprocal of that limit must be equal to 0, okay. Next, limit x tends to a log fx. Now this also we shall be using, that the log and limit, they can be interchanged. See here I have limit and log. First I have limit and then log. In the this must be equal to the log of the limit. Okay, I'm interchanging the log and the limit. Important. Next, limit x tends to a f of gx, that is some function of gx. You can take this f out of the limit and write it as f of limit of the function gx. Okay. And lastly, you have limit x tends to a k fx. This is we shall be using this also very in almost all the problems, that you can take the limit. They can take this constant k out of the limit. Okay. Now there are two things. First of all, if you see here in the last one, k limit x tends to a. Let's say limit x tends to k fx. K fx is equal to, now what are we doing here? We're taking k out of this limit. Now remember that in calculus there are certain standard notations. X here is a variable. X is called a variable and k is called a constant. Okay, x is a variable, k is a constant. Okay, there are certain standard notation that we use in calculus for variables and constant. Even if nothing is given, whether something is a constant or a variable, from the notation itself we understand that it is a constant. For example, letters like a, small b, small c, small d also. Okay, d is normally used for differential operator. Normally we don't use d. Like k, okay, uh, let's say c, okay, these are all used for constants. These are all letters that are used for constants. And for variables we use x, y, z, u, v, w, t also is used. All these are used as variables. So as we move along, uh, with the concepts of calculus, you will come to know that these are some of the standard notations that we use. If nothing is given in a function, suppose if a function is given to you as fx is equal to a sin x plus b cos x. This. That means automatically you must understand that a must be a constant because it is a standard notation, and b must be a constant, right? Or if a function is given as fu is equal to k sin u plus p sin v. This. So you must understand that p is a notation for a constant, k is a notation for a constant, and u and v are variables. These two are variables. Okay. So there are certain standard notations for variables and constants. So with this idea, let us move to the problems on limits. Okay. Now, how do you evaluate limits? Suppose if they exist, let's look at 1, 1. Evaluate the following limits. We take L is equal to limit x tends. So whenever a limit is given, try to take it as L. It will simplify your task a little. Okay. 7x square minus 5x plus 1. Now need to evaluate this limit directly. You don't need to check whether left hand limit exists and the right hand limit exists. Suppose assuming that the limit exists, you just need to find out the value of the limit. So how do you find out the value of the limit? Here you put x is equal to 0 directly. Instead of x, you put 0. Are we getting a finite value? Are we getting a determinate value? Yes, we are getting a determinate value. And what is the determinate value? Is equal to 1. So value of this limit is 1. So as simple as this. Okay. Let us see the next one. Part 2. Again, we take L is equal to limit x tends to 2 log to the base 10. You have x to the power of 6 plus root over of, I think this is x square. This is x square plus 1292. Okay. So again, if you put x is equal to 2, will you get a determinate form? Let's check whether we are getting a determinate form. I think we should get a determinate form because there is no denominator. Even if you get a 0 also, there's no problem. Okay. 0 is still a determinate form. So you get 2 to the power of 6 plus root over of 2 square plus 1292. So you get, now we remove the limit actually. It's because we have put the value of, we remove the limit. Okay. So you get log 10 times 2 to the power of 6 is 64, right? And 2 square, that is 4, plus 1292 is 1296, which is log 10 64. And what is the square root of 1296? It is 36. So you're getting log 100 to the base 10. And what is the value of log 100 to the base 10? It is 2, equal to the number of zeros, right? Remember from your class 9 log, what is the value of log 1000 to the base 10? Just take the number of zeros, 3 zeros, so value is 3. Log 10 to the base 10, only 1 0 here, so 1. Okay, fine. So that completes the second one. Let's see 1 3. L is equal to limit x tends to 5 minus x plus 5 by mod x plus 5. Okay, this is a left hand limit actually. So how do you evaluate left hand limits? I say let 5 minus x is equal to h. That means what do I get? X is equal to 5 minus h. Therefore, as x tends to 5 minus, h must tend to 0. Therefore, what is L here? L is limit h tends to 0. Put 5 minus h instead of x, divided by mod 5 minus h plus 5. Right? So what do I get? Limit h tends to 0. In the numerator, I get 10 minus h, and in the denominator, I get mod 10 minus h. Now, what is the value of mod 10 minus h? If h is a number that is very small, right, then 10 minus h will be a number that will be positive, right? If h is a number that is very small and very close to 0, then 10 minus h will be a number that is positive and very close to 10, right? So therefore, that means it must be positive. Very close to 10 means what? Mod 10 minus h must be positive. That means now we can remove the mod from the denominator because 10 minus h is positive, right? So what happens here? Both of these, they cancel. So you're getting limit h tends to 0, 1 simply, which is equal to 1. Okay. Let us see the next one. 1 part 4. L is equal to limit x tends to 1 minus x square minus 1 by mod x minus 1. Again, this is the left hand limit. Okay. So what we substitute? We put 1 minus x is equal to h. So we get here x is equal to 1 minus h. Therefore, as x tends to 1 minus, h is very close to 0. Therefore, what does L become? Limit h tends to 0. Instead of x, we put 1 minus h. 1 minus h whole square minus 1 by 1 minus h minus 1, right? Which is equal to limit h tends to 0. Expand this 1 plus h square minus 2h minus 1 divided by 1 minus h minus 1. From here 1 and 1 cancels, and here from here 1 and 1 they cancel. So what are you getting here? Limit h tends to 0. H from here you take h common, you get h minus 2, and in the denominator you have only a minus h. So what are you getting here? This h and this h cancels. So you're getting limit h tends to 0 minus of h minus 2. Now is this a determinate form? Yes, it is a determinate form. So that now you can put h is equal to 0 to get minus 0 minus 2, which is equal to plus 2. And that is the value of the limit. Okay. So at each step, you will have to check whether you are getting a determinate form or not. Okay. Let us see 1.5. You have to evaluate this limit. Limit x tends to 5 plus x minus greatest integer value of x. Okay. Now how do you evaluate this limit? We say let x minus, because this is the right hand limit, so we say x minus 5 is equal to h. That means we get x is equal to 5 plus h. And therefore, as x tends to 5 plus, that is, as x approaches 5 from values that are greater than 5, h must approach 0, right? So therefore, what does this limit change to? If we now change everything in terms of h, x tends to 5 plus means h tends to 0. And x here is 5 plus h minus 5 plus h, right? We'll put it under parenthesis. Okay. Now, what do you know about the greatest integer function? You have 5 plus h, write it as it is. Now 5 plus h greatest integer function, and h is very close to 0. Let us say h is 0.0001, right? What is the value of this greatest integer function? 5 point, right? And what is the greatest integer here? Which integer do we take? We take 5, right? So therefore in this case 5 plus h, where h is very small, will be equal to 5 only. So what happens? This plus 5, this minus 5 cancels. So you simply get limit h tends to 0, h, right? And now you can put h is equal to 0 to get 0 value of this limit. Okay, that is what this is. Let's start with 2 part 1 and then we can finish last sum. Now before starting 2 part 1, okay, I'll not start with 2 part 1. In fact, I forgot to give you a standard limit here. Okay, so please note down, there's a standard limit that you must know. Limit x tends to a, x to the power of n minus a to the power of n by x minus a must be equal to n a to the power of n minus 1. This is a standard limit. So therefore, for example, if I give you limit x tends to 2, x to the power of 8 minus 2 to the power of 8 divided by x minus 2. Then what can you write this limit as? You can directly write this limit as n here is 8, right? A here is 2 to the power of n minus 1. N is 8. So you can write this limit as 8 into 2 to the power of 7. Okay. Suppose if you have limit x tends to 5, root x minus root 5 by x minus 5. Then what should be the value of this limit? Where n is rational. Where n is a rational number. Okay. Remember, it works for any rational number. So therefore, what will happen? How will you evaluate this limit? Limit x tends to 5. This root x can be written as x to the power of half minus 5 can be written as 5 to the power of half by x minus 5, which is equal to, now what is n here? N here is half. N into a. A here is 5 to the power of n minus 1, right? So we get here half into 5 to the power of minus half, which is equal to 1 by 2 into 5 to the power of half, which is equal to 1 by 2 root 5, right? So note these, this is a standard function that you must remember. Okay, I forgot to write it here. So please write it when you are writing it in your copies, if at all you are writing in your copies. Okay, and please note the standard limit. We shall be using these standard limits in the sums to come. Okay, that's it. So I'll stop here.